Hello everyone, Mason here. How are you doing? Today it's time for a tag video. It feels as if every tag has at least one question I either don't have an answer for because I haven't read as much as everyone else, or can't answer because of my blindness, so I thought I'd just do a bit of a mashup today. We've got questions from the end of the year, Cosy, Autumn, Geekology and Ferret tags. I'd like to say a big thank you to Chris Reviews, Rosie Cockshut and Catcher from Read, Write, Create for tagging me. All of the channels are awesome and they'll all be linked in the description. Ready, set, let's get to it. Are there any books you've started and need to finish? To be honest, I was really excited to get into The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, but when I picked it up, it just didn't hold my attention. Don't get me wrong, I haven't gotten that far into it, and it does seem like good silly fun, but whilst this might seem like blasphemy on a Booktube channel, all I can think whilst I'm listening to it is, I could be watching the movie right now. I bloody love that film, and I haven't watched it in ages. I really want to like the book, but I just can't get into it. Who knows, I might go back to it one day, but for now there's so much out there to read that it's just not that high on my priorities. Name 3 books you'd like to read by the end of the year. Only fools make plans for the future. Alright, I'm kidding, sort of, but I don't like making plans. I'm a mood reader through and through. I just pick up whatever I fancy at any given moment, so there really is no point trying to plan anything out because I'm unreliable and I will let myself down. What I do know is I would really like to start the Sherlock Holmes collection. I'm eager to get to it, but I'm also a little bit worried that I've got my expectations too high after years of waiting to do so. I'd also like to listen to The Hobbit read by Andy Serkis because I would like to get through that and the Lord of the Rings trilogy by the time the Amazon show comes out next year. As for a third one, I just don't know. I'd like to get to a Discworld novel at some point, but I've no idea which one because there's bloody loads of them. I'd like to read an Agatha Christie novel at some point, but again, that's the same deal. I don't know. I don't know. Forget it. Let's just move on to the next question. Have you started making plans for 2021 yet? Oh, for fuck. Who is your favourite fictional animal? Well, this one's an easy one. Without a doubt, I would say Shadowfax. I mean, come on guys, Shadowfax is amazing. He's the lord of all horses. He has an awesome silver white coat. He's basically invisible during the night, so he's great for stealth. He can run like the wind, comprehend human speech. He's untamable to everyone except Gandalf, but that's basically only because he likes Gandalf enough to let him on his back. He's the only horse in Middle-earth not scared of the Witch King, and he's basically integral to the plot. He's literally the unsung hero of the story. Faramir would be dead without him. The only reason Frodo and Sam are able to get to Mount Doom is because the rest of the Fellowship are doing such a bloody good job of distracting Sauron, and that would not be possible at all without Gandalf working together with Shadowfax. Who is your favourite evil character? After some careful consideration, I'd have to say that my favourite evil character is Valdus Doyle, the villain in my short story The Bleeding Ground, available right now on my channel, link in the description. Is there a book that you read that made you feel geeky? I'm not going to say it. I don't need to say it. You already know what I'm going to say, so I don't need to say it. Other than the obvious, I'd say the geekiest books that I've read are probably the Doctor Who novelisations. It's impossible to hide what you're reading with them because they advertise very clearly on the covers what they are. Hard not to look like a Doctor Who fan when you're going into school with a book with a big TARDIS and David Tennant on the cover. Genuinely though, there's some pretty good adventures in those novels, and it was a great way to keep consuming Doctor Who content when the show was off the air. Do you own any collectible figures? No, and I never have done. I've never been able to see well enough to appreciate something like that, and I would have just been spending a lot of money on something that I couldn't even look at. I do own a replica of the One Ring, as I've mentioned before. I mean, at least I think so. Let's face it, Lee could totally have bought me a random ring and told me it was a replica of the One Ring, and I wouldn't know any different. Does it really matter at that point though? If I think it's the One Ring, it's the One Ring. I don't know whether he still has it, but my stepdad used to own a Lord of the Rings chess set where all the pieces were made of glass. I always wanted to play with it, but was kept away from it, which is a wise decision, because I'm clumsy. I've always wanted a sword though. Just knowing that it was there hanging up on the wall would feel cool as hell. A few years ago, my best friend Dan came into the possession of a replica of Michonne's sword from The Walking Dead, and I almost died of jealousy. So cool. Do you own any geeky clothing, and have you ever cosplayed? No and no. Honestly, these days I don't really care about clothes. I've got no sense of style because comfort is the only thing that matters to me. As I grew up though, I went through plenty of phases, and they were pretty much dictated by Doctor Who. When Christopher Eccleston was the 9th Doctor, I got into leather jackets. When David Tennant was the 10th Doctor, I tried the blazer and t-shirt combination, along with the Converse. And when Matt Smith was the Doctor, yes, I bought myself tweed. Not saying that there's anything wrong with tweed, but it did not suit me, and to be honest I went a little bit overboard with it. Looking back on it, it was just a little bit ridiculous. More than a little bit, a lot ridiculous. I even had a flat cap. Matt Smith didn't even wear a flat cap. Why did I do that? I don't think that I ever would cosplay either. Not because I don't think it'd be fun, I just don't think there's anyone that I can actually pull off. Suggestions? That'd be fun. What is your favourite video game? It's painful to admit, but I am a basic bitch when it comes to video games, and that's not because of my blindness. I've pretty much always been that way. Growing up, I enjoyed all the games that you would expect someone my age to have enjoyed. Tomb Raider, Crash Bandicoot, GTA. I spent a lot of time playing, but also spent a lot of that time playing the same games. I'm feeling a strong sense of nostalgia at the minute because the GTA Trilogy Definitive Edition has just been released, and I really want Vice City. I just want the experience of playing that again. I actually once got banned from playing Vice City for hitting people with a baseball bat over and over to see how far the blood would spread. Not joking, that actually happened. What the... I think more than anything though, I am a fan of open world games. Give me an environment to wander around in, have adventures, explore, and I think I'll have a good time. I've mentioned it before, but I'm pretty sure that my favourite game of all time at this point is Red Dead Redemption 2. It's the first game that I've ever played where the story mattered just as much as the gameplay. That game destroyed me emotionally. I didn't cry, that's not accurate enough. I wept. Screwed up, ugly face, snotty nose, headache at the end of it type crying. I like Middle-earth Shadow of War as well. That's one that I've played with Lee, and it's actually really good to play with co-pilot because there's different tasks that each of us can do. I absolutely loved the Nemesis system, if I'm being honest. I thought it was awesome that it basically allowed you to create your own story. The fact that the orcs remembered battling you and remembered how you killed them just felt badass. Back when I was massively into wrestling, I spent a lot of time playing the WWE games. I absolutely loved creating characters and spent so much time doing all the customization. Honestly, I've had hours of fun playing those games. Do you play board games, and do you own any? I've played D&D exactly once in my life. I didn't know anything about it, and I was invited to the session where all the characters were created, and then not invited back. Not sure what I did wrong. When I was about 19, I had a friend who was super into the Warhammer deck building stuff, and he taught me a lot about it. I mean, I say a lot, but I don't think I could remember any of it now. It was fun, but my eyesight was already so poor that it was just hard to tell what the cards were. I never got really good at it or anything, but I definitely won a few games, and it was just a lot of fun to play. Whilst I've never played an actual D&D campaign, me and Lee did create our own game a few years back, and we put a lot of time into that with all the dice rolling and the world building. I loved it. Honestly, before I played that, I would never have believed the depth that a dice rolling game can have, the variety of the situations, how deep the story can go. Playing that completely changed my outlook on character creation. When you put that much time and effort into something like that, it's hard not to get emotionally involved, and I never realised that before playing it. But when you're taking a character that you created and watching them go through a storyline and then having them die off, it's just heartbreaking. What is your favourite autumnal drink? Honestly, I don't have one. I'm not that much for spiced drinks, which I know a lot of people like this time of year. I know that this isn't going to get me a lot of fans, but gingerbread and pumpkin lattes just aren't for me. I do drink a lot more tea when the weather cools down though. Do you prefer reading early morning or late at night? I would say in the afternoon. What is your favourite autumnal candle? Well, that's the thing. The reason that I don't like the drinks with all the spices in is because I like candles so much. I don't really enjoy summer scents as much as I do autumn scents, because that's when all the nice, sweet smelling ones become available. By far my favourite scent is gingerbread though. It just makes the whole flat smell amazing. My question for today is this. Imagine a hypothetical situation in which an alien race arrives and you are the first person that they see. They choose you as the champion of the earth and challenge you to one game of your choice, but if you lose, we all die. How do you save us? If you've enjoyed this video, the like and subscribe buttons are just sitting there, waiting to be pressed. Now press them, or I'll pay the people at your favourite restaurant not to serve you next time you want to eat there. If you want to get in touch, say hi and have a chat, you know where the comments section is, or the link to my Twitter can be found in the description. Thanks ever so much for spending time with me today, guys. Until next time, take care. For now, I'm off, and you should have a good one.